transmission filter and fluid change for a 2008 Series 1 Holden Commodore 5-speed auto 5L40E transmission. So you have to have the transmission between 30 and 50 degrees. In this car, or in the VEs, there's an engineering mode. If you just hold this button in right here and turn the ignition on at the same time, you'll get into this mode here. And you just scroll down to sump temp. Start the car. I've already been letting it warm up for a little while, so you want it between 30 and 50 degrees. Probably going to go to 38, and I'll check back with you in a sec. Car's jacked up on stands for safety, ramps for extra safety, and I've left the jack under there as well, because we have to get under there. So we're underneath the car now. There's the transmission sump. Just up here on the passenger side, there's the drain plug. So you want to undo that. Obviously the transmission's now between 30 and 50 degrees. We'll drain that and I'll get back to you. To get the fill plug out, you'll need a T40. Just thought I'd mention that. Draining that out now. Next step is we're going to remove the transmission sump. There's 20 bolts holding the transmission sump on. You want to take them all off, bar 2, just because there will be some fluid still left in the pan. We'll have to get another drain pan. Try not to spill any. Okay, so car's jacked up from the front, so you want to take off all of the trans sump bolts except 1 or 2 up the front, and slowly drop the back of the pan and let the oil drain, and then undo that one. Take the pan down. There will be oil still left in it, so take note, there will be a mess. We've got the pan off. There's the pan. Okay, trans sump off. The filter is there. There's your valve body. I've already removed it, but if you just give it a good tug and a wiggle, it'll pop right out for you. And there will be transmission fluid dropping from this as well, so once again there will be a mess. Make sure you remove the old gasket. Let it drain for a little while, 5 or 10 minutes. Just down there in the bottom of the pan, there's a magnet to catch all the tiny metal debris from the transmission. You want to take that out and give it a good clean. Also clean the pan out with some brake cleaner. New transmission filter. You only need 1 adapter off the old one. It's this thing. This goes on first. Locks in there, and then these 2 little rubber grommets go over the top. It can be a pain in the ass to get on sometimes. Be hard with one hand. I'll get back to this. So just like that, put that first rubber clip adapter thing, I don't know what it's called, 2 rubber grommets. We'll get ready to put this back into the transmission, and a new gasket on the pan, and we'll get ready to put the oil in. So we've cleaned the trans sump pan. You can't forget the little magnet. Put this magnet back into place. So it's just in there. Now that'll help pick up more debris next time we service the transmission. Brand new gasket. I've used just a tiny bit of this stuff between every bolt. Not so much to help it seal, but just to help the gasket stay into place when we're bolting the pan back up. What I've done is I've just put some pegs around the pan. I'm gonna leave them on there for about 5 minutes just to straighten out the gasket a little bit to make it easier when we go to reinstall the pan. We'll get on to putting the filter back in now. Getting ready to put the new filter in. The new filter slides just up there. I'll mention when you're taking the old one out, you want to make sure that there's none of them left up in there. So we'll just give it a good push. A bit hard with one hand. You get the idea. I'll see you for the next step. We've got the pan ready. Bolts ready. Bolts ready. Ready to put the pan back on the transmission. When you're putting the some bolts back in, when you're going around, just make sure you don't miss the gasket and the bolt goes through the gasket hole. There is a sequence in which way you tighten up the sump bolts. I'll put a photo of it in the description for you. I'll just point out the reason I'm doing this automatic transmission service. The 5L40Es have a fair few issues, one being the torque converter fails and all the tiny metallic metal bits end up going through the transmission, through all the clutches, and does damage to the transmission. And it eventually, after you turn the car off and you let it sit for a little while, all the tiny debris drop to the bottom of the pan, and then when you start it up again, it goes through the filter. The filter ends up getting blocked, and just a repeat cycle, the filter gets blocked so much that the transmission can't get any fluid and it ends up running dry, so you end up doing damage to the transmission. So take note, guys, service your transmission. GM told everybody that these 5L40E transmissions are sealed units. Don't believe what they say. I'd service them every 50,000 at least, just to prevent this issue, because this car's been playing up for quite a while now. It's had 2 transmission services in its life. We're going on the 3rd one. It's definitely going to need a rebuild. But I'm also going to be chucking in a transmission additive, which I'll show you guys later. We've got Pentrite multi-vehicle full synthetic ATV. I can't stress that enough. Get full synthetic, especially with this transmission. So adding Reinstalling transmission stop leak concentrate. As you can see, it says restores gaskets and seals to stop transmission fluid leaks. And to fill it, because we're in such a tight space, we've just got this syringe from Super Cheap Auto. Might take quite a while, but it'll get the job done. As you can see, that's transmission fluid. It's burnt to the shit house. It's supposed to be red. So as I was saying before, this transmission will need a rebuild, but we're going to try and get a little while longer out of it by giving it a service and a filter change and putting some of that transmission additive in it. You guys probably can't see it, but I pulled out around about 4.5 litres of transmission fluid. I'm going to put in 5 litres. As I said, the radiator's been out twice in this car, so I would have lost a bit of transmission fluid there. So I just want to top it up a little bit more, just to be safe. Okay, we got the syringe here. There's your fuel plug. As I said, tight space. Easiest way is with a syringe. So you just fill it up and do one at a time. So 5 litres. Might take a while, so see you soon. Just down to probably the last 2.5 litres. Cut the container just to make it easier. We just took the jack stand away from that side to let the car lean on the driver's side, so the fluid leans to the driver's side to get the remaining fluid in the fuel hole.